The Dental Brief is brought to you by Omni Premier Marketing and the amazing guests who bring wisdom and advice that you can put to use to take your business and practices to the next level. Find us on Facebook and join the conversation. Get ready to grow because we are kicking off the next episode in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dental Brief. Having a great time before we get started here talking with my guest today. Rebecca Herring, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. So happy to be here.
This is going to be interesting. What we're going to talk about, we were talking about a little offline, was practices getting help via virtual assistants, having team members that aren't in the office that are in the office or helping them in the office remotely. So before we dive into today's topic, how'd you get involved with dentistry? Why are you here supporting dentists today? What got you on this journey?
Well, I love sharing. My dad's a dentist, so, born and raised in it. My dad, he was very invested in his own practice. And, I watched my dad struggle from a young age, just in that you want to give so much to your patients. And, he did a lot of pro bono work for his patients. We also watched him travel around the world and do humanitarian trips. And I know from me, I had the experience or the opportunity to go with him on one of his humanitarian trips. And honestly, it was life-changing, truly. To this day, I still can't talk about it without getting emotional.
Yeah,
and so that compassion side is always there. And I have that view, I guess, from that dentist owner perspective. So how I got into the virtual assistant side of dentistry and how that true benefit can come back to benefit not only the owner of the practice, but really every team member that's in the practice. Several years ago, I was the CEO of a dental company here in Colorado, and we were really struggling. It was right after COVID and, hard to find dedicated and loyal workers who really wanted to come in and they wanted to help your business grow. And so we decided to think outside the box a little bit. And we decided to hire a handful of virtual assistants. They were from the Philippines. And they came into our practice and we hired them. They were our team. They were part of our business. They were dedicated to just our dental locations. We had several. We had 3. And they came in and it was a new concept for me personally. We didn't have anyone at our front desks at all, no one. And I don't recommend that for everybody.
Sure.
That works for our demographic, but I still like that personal touch, of course, when the patients arrive. But they took our practice and did something that I don't think I ever would have expected going into it. But we trained them. They all got their own kind of lane to stay in. And in full transparency, they doubled our production in all of our locations. They reduced our open chair time by 80%, and they reactivated a fair number of all of our patients just by that personal touch that they could give by not being in the practice and busy trying to help the ones that are right in front of you. But they got to take that time to reach out to the patient. Hey, Dr. Smith asked me to reach out to you. It's been 6 months, a year, 18 months since we've seen you in our practice. Dr. Smith wants to know how you're doing. And he wants to know how that crown on the upper left's doing. Is it still bothering you, or can we get you back in? Dr. Smith would really like to reevaluate that again for you, right? We don't have time to do that today in our practices as much as we'd like to, but we still want to give our patients that red carpet experience.
Sure.
So for us, it was an amazing experience and really came down to that finding the right fit for our practice, creating the training that they needed, and then letting them fly. They really did a crazy great job. I love them.
So let's kind of talk about some of the myths that are out there and some of the kind of pushback that I've heard. I'm sure you hear it too. And
absolutely,
when it comes to this way of providing awesome service and care in your practice, that some people would say things like, I tried it was horrible, didn't work. That's something, right? And I could say we've all hired an employee that was horrible and didn't work, but we still continue to hire employees for some reason in our
Right.
office, right? So that's
Or we
one of
keep
them.
them longer than we should, right? We keep them too long.
Sure. Another thing that I've heard said is that while they can't do as good as job as people here can, people here in the US, in my office can do. I would actually say there's probably some truth to that. That's true because there is always going to be a little bit of an accent, even though I know a little bit about people in the Philippines are highly educated people. A lot of them, their English is much better than mine is, born and raised here in the US. So what are some kind of your responses to that? Mine is always like, when it comes to quality is like, perfection is the enemy of done. So I would rather have something done not nearly as good as I could do it myself, but actually get done because I can't get to everything in a day. So what do you say to that? What do you say to some of these kind of objections that people have?
Sure. I've heard a lot of those and so many more. So I want to address first off the accent, right? Because it's the first one that people say, right? I don't like calling my credit card company. I know that they're across seas and I don't want to deal with it. Well, yes, that is true. You are going to hear an accent. But have you ever called someone in New York? Or I'm not even going to try an accent because I know I'll just fail. But I mean, we have it even in the United States. People in different areas of the United States have a heavy accent too. The Deep South, New York, the Bronx, anywhere, right? Even people just, East Coast to West Coast, we have a little bit of a difference in our accent too.
Sure.
And I think it's just having that understanding of talking to your patients and finding the right fit for your practice. If you come from an area where you have a very diverse demographic in your area, it may not bother your patients as much. If you come from a smaller town, maybe that would be a little harder for your patient. So be understanding to that and work with a virtual assistant company that can help you find a virtual assistant that doesn't have as heavy of an accent or has really great English skills that you can easily understand.
Sure.
Express the needs of your practice, and a great virtual assistant company is going to help you find the need of your practice.
Yep.
So I tried it, didn't like it, didn't work for me. Don't do it again. No one, everyone stay away, right? Being prepared for that virtual assistant to come on board is part of the success of anyone that you bring on as an employee, whether it's a brand new employee that's going to sit right next to you, or it's an employee that you decide to bring on virtually, right? That's going to work not in the practice with you. That is success. Being prepared for what you want them to do and be successful all comes down to training.
Sure.
No virtual assistant comes to your office prepared and successful on day one. They are not a plug and play answer, is what I like to say. They're not set and ready. They aren't an answer to your struggle day one.
Right.
Nor is anyone else that you hire for your practice.
Yep.
So as long as you've set yourself up for success and you have basically, hey, this is what they're going to do and this is what I need to teach them, they will be successful.
Yep.
But it does take some time. It does take someone willing to put the time in to show them the way, and they will be successful.
It may take a couple of attempts to find the right fit too, right?
Sometimes, yeah. But I think if you're working with a really great virtual assistant company, they're there to see you be successful. They're also there to see that their virtual assistant is successful, because that is a reflection on their company and on their virtual assistant. And let me tell you, those virtual assistants, that is their goal. They want to see you be successful, and like it's a reflection on them personally too. Like they don't want you to come back and say, you're really not a very good fit. We need to go with somebody else.
Right.
They want to see you be happy with the work that they do, and they absolutely will do anything you want them to do.
Yep. Makes sense. So speaking of finding someone great to help you with this, it's yourtdcoach.com is your website. Check it out. I know that you've mentioned before, I'd be glad to do a consultation with someone that doesn't cost them anything.
Absolutely. Happy to talk with anyone about it for free. Absolutely.
So obviously, if you need help, reach out to Rebecca. if you want to try to do this on your own too, because there's always that person, right? Or I shouldn't say that person. I would say that most people want to try it on their own first because they think it's going to
Right.
save money or time or whatever.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to kind of point those people in the right direction too. If you want to try to go this on your own, what are some resources or things that you could point someone in the right direction to kind of help them figure out
Sure.
the
Some
journey on
things to
themselves?
keep in mind if you want to try this on your own. You can advertise for a virtual assistant anywhere.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the foreign countries are looking for work in the United States. They get paid better here.
Right.
And when I say better, a virtual assistant is more than happy to work for you for 10 to 13, $14 an hour. To
Right.
them, that's like us making, $300 an hour.
Right.
I mean, to
Game
them,
changer.
that is wonderful money. That's why they work so hard for you, because they don't want to lose this job. They
Right.
want you to be successful. But some things to bear in mind. Another concern that a lot of practices express a concern in is always that security, HIPAA, because they're overseas.
Right.
So if you do it on your own, just remember that you will need to do that HIPAA training and compliance with them before they start in your practice, so that they understand and there's no risks against you and your practice.
Right.
Working with a virtual assistant company, they will already put those virtual assistants through that training and that compliance, and they have to be extremely proficient, if not excel within HIPAA, because they know that that is the number one concern in any kind of healthcare industry, is that they meet and exceed those expectations. When I'm training a virtual assistant, it's the first thing I'm going to try to see if I can trick them on, is to try to trip them up a little bit in something that's HIPAA related. And honestly, over the past several years of training, I've never run into a VA that has given some piece of information or done something against the US standards of HIPAA. So that makes me really excited, because I work with several companies. But you can find a virtual assistant one way or the other. I just like working with a company because they are protected.
Sure. Makes sense. Yeah, definitely. I would start with yourtdcoach.com. Reach out to Rebecca. Rebecca, I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for spending time with us.
You bet. You
learned so
bet.
much.
Super passionate and love seeing dental practices be successful.